This one happened early in the show, and we knew we had to talk to this man.
Yeah, we had to get Mark Grote on the show. He is our Bears beat reporter. He's a good man and thorough, and he is here in the Score studio. So, Grote, your guy.
But listening to that great open and tribute to our guy, Teven Jenkins, by Chris Tannehill, I just realized how much he has grown and what he has gotten out of Chicago. He didn't know what ornaments were before he was in Chicago. He didn't know what skyscrapers were before he was in Chicago. He didn't know who Mark Grote was before he was in Chicago. So I think that this man, although I hate to see him go from a personal standpoint, he has grown a lot under the collective watch of all of us.
So you think we've done our job? You think we've grown the man?
We have grown the man. It has happened. Mark Trestman, years later, the man has been grown, and he is Teven Jenkins, and that's why we must send him off into bigger and better Cleveland.
You like Cleveland?
Oh, you like that?
You think it's cool?
Oh, you like that?
There's only one skyscraper in Cleveland.
We looked it up.
We looked
Are
it
you
up.
serious?
Yeah, there's just one.
Oh, what qualifies a building to be a skyscraper? Does anybody know?
We qualified it as above 80 stories.
Okay.
Well, that was our ranking, but then Shane looked up the official.
Oh, it's 57?
That's something like that. The official designation of a skyscraper might even be lower than that.
Holy
yeah.
cow, I used to live in a skyscraper then, in the previous building to now.
But
So that's pretty cool to think
not
about.
anymore. So Tevin's going to be a big fish in a little pond.
Yeah, I guess he is. I was thinking about Tevin, though. On the serious side of Jenkins, do you remember the hope that he represented? Because it was Justin Fields moving up to get Justin Fields that year. Maybe the most exciting draft ever for the Chicago Bears in terms of that moment of moving up to get Justin Fields. Because when they moved up to get Mitch Trubisky, people were like, not real sure about this. We've already got the...
It's my year.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Not so much, but they draft Justin Fields, and then they go get the left tackle in Teven Jenkins, who could have been a first-round pick. He fell to the Bears in the second round, so you come in with Justin Fields and Teven Jenkins, and as good as things feel right now for the Bears, that felt pretty good too at the time, and it never worked.
No, you're absolutely right. And that was a trade as well. That Bears pick came from Carolina in a deal, but I don't remember. Did they trade up for Teven Jenkins?
Yeah, I think they did.
I think
few
they
spots.
jumped up.
Yeah, because he was I'd have to go back.
He was thought to be a round one tackle talent,
late first round, right? And then it wasn't shocking that he fell into the second round. And maybe that's where we should have had our antennas up. I'm not just saying about Tevin's career. I'm talking about the back issues that he had right away. And then Speaks, you and I talked about this a lot. What was the phraseology that you and I used? What's the fatal flaw?
It was you.
It was me.
You came up with it because it was an entire Bears camp where we knew they didn't like something about Tevin as a tackle.
Ryan Poles specifically was the one who, and the more I think about it, what was the fatal flaw? The fatal flaw was that he wasn't Braxton Jones. Ryan Poles that year, if you remember, because I remember it vividly, being inside the Walter Payton Center during an OTA. No uniforms, nothing. Media's casual. We're looking out there, and all of a sudden, you see Braxton Jones starting at left tackle and Teven Jenkins on the second line, and we're all like, whoa. And then early on, it's like, let's not make too much of this. He became the starting left tackle, did Braxton Jones.
My guy and not my guy.
Yeah, so,
Braxton?
So is it a my guy and not my guy situation? But why wouldn't you move Tevin over or still think of him as a tackle? Was it because what does Braxton have that Tevin did not in Ryan Poles' mind?
Health, and I think that some of the
how about Braxton's smart as hell?
Yeah,
and Braxton has
ridiculous length too.
A lot of length. So length and smarts. I could see because Tevin was clearly pissed by whatever was going on. Right?
He was. Yeah. I mean, if you remember, there were reports about him in that early training camp about
him walking away.
A report. I think it was Peggy something from NFL. Something from the NFL.
We both went for it right away. That's her legacy.
That's so good. I had to give credit where credit is due. I think that was where I heard that that he wanted to be traded, but then everything became okay, and then he really became a good guard. And believe it or not, last year, I want to say Oh, yeah, he did. He started 14 games last year, missed 3. But the problem, a couple things. Too many times where he went down in a game, and so he would miss. So that's not accounted for necessarily in the numbers that I'm bringing you. And unfortunately for Teven Jenkins, the Bears just had to do something differently. They had to do something differently, and that's what they have done. Because
I don't have any problem with them moving on from Tevin.
It would have been nice. I don't either. From a football standpoint, I don't either.
I am curious on what the numbers are on that, because I feel like maybe you might have been able to get a deal for a guy that's starting quality, but maybe Tevin was like, I just need to go someplace else.
That's what it sounded like on the last day of camp. Or last day of the season.
Bingo, Spiegel. He knew it.
He was ready, man. And think about it. If you've played for Ryan Poles for this long after everything that went down on that in that first camp, and you've built this rep as a guy who doesn't show up enough, doesn't play enough, they seem to be doubting your pain tolerance. F you, man. And Tevin, I hope Tevin proves everybody wrong.
Or they give you $20 million.
That helps a lot.
Who
Nate Davis.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was a terrible choice.
It's just going to play ping pong, man. Last words to me. Last words to me.
He's probably still playing.
Play a hand on my shoulder. Sorry, man. I can't talk. I got to go play ping pong.
You know, it's funny. For all the things that guys in the NFL do, and there's been a lot of guys that have done a lot of bad stuff, the one thing that is really hard for any player to overcome, they'll take you back if you broke the law. They'll take you back if you were, but if you don't play, it is hard for you to make your way back. Other players won't back you. Coaches look at that as the biggest sin. What do you mean? Because that thing that happened with him, where they were clearly like desperate for offensive line, and then he's a late scratch. Man, that's the type of thing that once it gets around the league,
dude, you're so right.
You're cooked.
He would have to, at this point, open his mouth is what Nate Davis would have to do, and he'd have to be very clear and admit some things if he truly wants back in, if he even cares. Does Nate Davis even care?
These are great questions.
But what he would have to do, guys, is he would have to say, yeah, I was a bum with the Bears. I was immature. I did some stupid things. I feel bad about it, but I really want to play now. I've made my money. I want to play. But does he? I doubt it.
Nate Davis and Patrick Williams. Kindred spirits.
Oh my God! I heard you guys talking to Cowley.
How about Joe
that was
Cowley?
Jarring to hear somebody finally say it. Yeah. Finally say it that they are out on him.
And he's basing it. He's adding the final piece of having seen him on the bench react in a certain way.
Right.
After years of giving him a chance, it made all the sense in the world. Hey, for Ben's Vision today, we did edge rushers. And we talked about a few different options there at the edge. And let me just ask you this basic question, because I thought it ended up interesting conversation within our segment. Mike Green, 2 times accused of sexual assault, once in high school, once seemingly at Virginia. And then he went to Marshall and absolutely dominated. He denied it vociferously, but kind of inelegantly, in fact, very inelegantly at the Combine. Are the Bears in a better position to take a character chance than they were, say, a couple years ago with Jalen Carter? Obviously, very different situation.
Yes, I think the answer is absolutely yes. This is not a season where I would, this is really bold. This is not a season where I'm anticipating a 10-game losing streak for the Chicago Bears.
Let's write that down.
So, Riles, put it on tape.
I am not. Maybe a good 8-gamer. I can't promise you there won't be a 9-game losing streak, but there will not be a 10-game losing streak in the Bears' future. So, yes, they are more equipped than they were. And I have to imagine, too, that to some degree, although I think Ryan Poles' reasons for not drafting Jalen Carter felt pretty sound at the time, I think that this is a chance, would potentially be a chance for a make good, because he is a guy that can sack the quarterback 20 times in a year.
Somewhere Jerry Riles is like, what did I do? What the hell did I do?
Oh, come on!
Told him to put it on tape.
I got a text, by the way, from Matt Fishman earlier in the show, because he got it's Bill, incidentally. I go by Bill, incidentally, from Bill Wade, former Bears Hall of Famer Bill Wade.
Oh, Bill Wade?
I believe Murph called him Billy, and he said, I go by Bill, incidentally.
Didn't he also call Walter Wally?
Yes, don't call me Wally. Yeah, Murph had a thing.
Oh, that's right. Don't call him Wally.
Yeah, that's what you got to tell people.
And
sometimes.
we can bring Riles and Murph together by Karch Kiraly.
Oh.
Right.
What?
What's the name of that show you do? Is that Generation Next?
Oh, that was their show. That was their show. That was Fish and Riles.
Fish and Riles. I thought you.
I thought you were in that too.
No. Fish. It was Fish and Hood.
That's
Generation
what, and you guys
Next.
were down the stretch.
Yeah, me and Jason Griffin were down the stretch. Damn right.
Where were you when you heard the big news, Wally?
Don't call me Wally.
That's Walter Payton.
I love it because Walter Payton has the least imposing voice ever, but that's angry Walter Payton right
that was
there.
real angry.
I mean,
Walter Payton.
And he likes to joke. He likes to joke. He's a big time jokester.
Right.
He wasn't joking then.
No, it's like,
what I'm saying.
okay, sorry, Walter. I'll never do it again. You're the greatest of all time.
All right, so you think yes in a better situation?
I do think that they're in a better situation for that. And you know what? I am still down for another guy who could potentially get to that double-digit number.
Oh, yeah,
Like, I'm kind of sold. Like, somebody told me on Odangbo, they were like, hey, because I've been not critical at all of Odangbo, but just asking questions because he doesn't have big sack numbers. Somebody told me, think Montez Sweat when you think Odangbo, which is great, but that's still not getting to the quarterback as much. That's making things happen, which Odangbo does. He gets to the quarterback by way of rushes and things like that, but he has not been knocking the quarterback down enough.
Maybe the idea is that if you have two Montezes, one of them's going to get to the quarterback.
Oh, God. Can you imagine the It's Montez segment if that is the case?
Dio.
That's two Montezes.
That's Dio.
That's Dio.